Coach, first of all, congrats on a great regular season thus far.
Thanks.
Just how tough was that loss? I mean, losing to Santa Barbara at home in the championship game on PKs, you lost down there on PKs last year. Just how are the girls after the game?
Well, they're pretty disappointed. They've worked very hard to get to that point, and you never like to see games decided on a penalty kick shootout because it's really not indicative of the game. It's just more of a crapshoot. But both teams played well. I have no regrets. We wouldn't have changed anything that we did. That's just how it ended up. So now we just wait and see.
What are your feelings headed into the selection show at 5 p.m.? I mean, are you, not to be cliche, but cautiously optimistic? I mean, a little pessimistic. What are your thoughts on Cal Poly's chances to get a
well, you never know when it's in someone else's hands. It wouldn't surprise me if we got in because we had a great record, good run, some really big wins. We're receiving votes for the top 25 last week. But then again, we've been in this situation before and not got in. So I'm not counting on it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we got in at all.
Let's say, you guys don't get the bid. How proud are you of what the girls did this year? I mean, 8 straight wins, 7 straight shutouts, and Big West title and everything like that.
Oh, I'm very proud. It's a great group. It was a good combination of youth and seniors, and they came together and played some great soccer this year. We got some great results. We exceeded expectations of others, not of ourselves necessarily, but it's a great group, and Coral had a great year. A lot of our freshmen stepped up, and I'm very proud of them. It was a fun group.
Coach, refresh my memory. How many teams get into the tournament?
64.
64. Okay.
Yeah, 32 automatic qualifiers and then
Sure.
32 at large.
Okay. So you're 14-5-1, 7-1 in the conference. So if you don't get in, why would that be?
That's a good question. We deserve to be in, but if we don't get in, looking at our RPI, I think that's we're in the 60s, high 50s. I don't know what it'll be after this weekend, but I would think it'd certainly creep up a little bit. I think that would be the one thing that would weigh against us.
I mean, is it somewhat of an indictment, I guess, if that's the right word, against the Big West? I mean, since you obviously had a great season, I mean, would that just make a statement that the Big West isn't as strong as hopefully you would like it?
It's kind of a misnomer because the conference itself is very strong. The overall records outside of conference I think we had a winning percentage outside of conference, but a lot of the teams were playing good teams. And one of the things about scheduling, especially women's soccer, is that you schedule a couple of years in advance against teams you expect to be strong, and they may have an off year. So then that hurts your RPI. So there's really things that are not in your control, but the things you do control are what you put out on the field. And I thought all our teams in the conference were very good this year.
I mean, just in case then maybe a couple of those early season losses may come back to bite you. Unfortunately, as unfortunate as it is, with only 5 losses on your resume.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things that for us early in the season, we're always kind of evolving and trying to find a lineup, and trying to gel and see who's going to do what. And during the course of that process, we may not win some games that we should have, but that's part of the way it goes. You play the game to see who wins, and we took some bad losses, a couple of them early on, but we recovered from that and ended up playing great soccer.
Will the team be gathered around a TV somewhere, or are they just kind of dispersed among themselves?
Well, some will be around the TV, some have class, some have other commitments, but we're not making a big deal about it, but we are keeping an eye on it.
Alex, at this point, is there any lobbying on your part, Allison's part, anyone's to further the effort, the cause, to get you guys in?
No, I think, I've been part of the committee before, so I know how it works. And those kinds of things are actually kind of frowned upon negatively. The committee does a pretty good job of analyzing all the facts. And, every year teams are going to be left out that should be in, and teams will be in that people think should be left out. So, any particular lobbying or politicking is really not something that we do.
Coach, being as you've been a part of that process before, what are some things that that you don't like about the selection committee process? What are some of the pitfalls that you think could be changed, and some of the things that some of the things that you like, maybe some of the things you dislike, because that's often in the light of the fan and, you know, the
Right.
sports community. So if
Well,
you
I
wanna
think from the outside looking in, you always think there's these ulterior motives. But being on the inside looking out, it's, for the most part, at least when I was involved with the process, it was a very conscientious group of people that were working on it. And even being part of that process, listening to the people on the outside afterwards, you know, there's a lot of allegations about this or that which just aren't true. And the plain fact is, there's a lot of good teams out there, and a lot of teams have reasons to be in the tournament, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Does this, I mean, this year, such a great year for you guys, does this set a precedence coming up for the next couple of years? Does it set a foundation for something you guys have built on?
Well, we've always had a strong program. We happen to win a few more games this year, but I think the minute you start thinking, well, you finally got there and you have something to work on, you're done. So it's a constant process. So, you know, when our season's officially done, we'll just start working on getting better for next year. You can't relax. There's so much parity in women's soccer these days that if you relax for a minute, you're going to get passed by.
If there was one adjective you could use to describe the girls right now, I mean, what would that be?
Describe them.
Before, you know, upcoming to the, you know, selection, you know, what are their feelings? Anxious, excited?
Well, I think they're a little anxious. You know, they're hopeful. That's probably the best word I can use to describe them right now.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Can I ask